Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Madden, and I'm coming to you today to talk about long-term care. I work with the Foundation for Financial Education, and we're a nonprofit that does financial awareness and seminars in regards to financial education. We're going to talk long-term care today because many people don't really know what long-term care is, what is covered for long-term care, and then also we want to look at some personal experiences. So if you look at the statistics for long-term care, they say 1 out of 2 people will need long-term care. In my personal experience, so if we just look at my parents, both of them needed long-term care, but just for different amounts of time. If you look at statistics, they say 3 years, including home care and any kind of care in a facility. But my parents didn't need it for 3 years. One needed it for 8 months. One needed it for like a year and a half. And what that means is we took care of them at home. So Susan is here with me today, and I'm very excited to have her. And she's also going through similar situations with her dad and her mom taking care of him at home. And so I'm just going to ask Susan, how does that impact your mom's life? You have a brother that lives with them, your dad going through this type of thing. For you who has moved away because of work and trying to balance everything.
Yeah, very interesting. Good questions, Amy. And every situation's a little bit different with long-term care. And hearing those statistics, it's just shocking to me. My father has been in care for 20 years now.
20 years, wow.
Yes, and it's truly a blessing. He has the best outlook on life I've ever seen. But when I was 4 years old, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he was given a few years to live.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and this is a huge factor, I think, with long-term care now is medical advances and advances in care at home. And he had a trial surgery for his Parkinson's. He had a deep brain surgery. He was awake for it.
Oh.
It was wild. He was in remission in the hospital for several months, and it worked. He is doing really well for someone with Parkinson's 20 years later.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, and it's just, I don't know, it's just fascinating to see how far we've come with medical advances and technology. But I mean, who can plan for that? If you plan for long-term care, you expect it to last for 3 years, and here we are 20 years later.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely been a huge impact on life, and especially my mom, she's a public school teacher, and she's also a full-time caretaker.
Busy job?
Yeah,
both.
Busy job for both. Exactly.
Yep. How's your dad doing now?
He's doing great. He's doing really well. He has had some slow dementia because of his Parkinson's, but it's been something we were able to plan for and anticipate over the years because we kind of saw it coming. There were about 10 really good years where he was living the same type of life, but he was retired and in long-term care, getting care at home. But then it's kind of been a slow decline, but it's given our family time to accommodate. So our home now is kind of in a hospital setup. We have the rails everywhere. We have, we have a medicine box that distributes his medication throughout the day automatically. How amazing is that? And so it's really kind of changed how we have things set up at home, but he's still home,
That's nice.
It's wonderful. But yeah, he's doing great. He's a very positive person, and he's a strong believer that there will be a cure for Parkinson's someday, and maybe he won't be able to benefit from it, but he's so hopeful that future generations will.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's a true inspiration.
Yeah, and you're so right about the equipment. So, my mom passed away probably 18 years ago. So when she needed long-term care, there weren't like those automatic dispensers. And so they would say, you have to have a nurse come in because nobody else can do it. Well, you can't find a nurse, and nurses are really expensive for that.
Yes.
So, you have the pill box. But it's just, and I can remember we used to have a pharmacy in town that would deliver the medicines. You can't get that now.
No, oh my
I mean, I know they do have mail-in ones, but when you're in that situation, there's so many different things, going on. So... yeah, so for us, I'm the youngest of 6 children, and when they say it takes a village...
oh my goodness.
It takes a village.
It truly does.
So there's 6 children and grandchildren, And even with all of us and a cousin that helped out and family friends, you still had to hire people to come in and help you. And I can remember too at one time I had them in just so I could sleep because I was still working. Everyone's working. Everyone's taking shifts. The schedule, with everybody's different times on it,
Yes.
what they could do. And I can remember we hired somebody for just so that we could sleep. And then all of a sudden they started to wake me up at night to move her. And I'm like, why are you waking me up? And they're like, well, she's a 2-person transfer. I mean, she was little, itty-bitty thing. I was like, I can pick her up myself. But it really does take a village. And one of the things that people don't realize, so a lot of people, when you talk to them about long-term care, they say, I have really good health insurance. Health insurance doesn't cover long-term care. And so then they'll be like, well, there's Medicaid. Well, Medicaid only covers you when you run out of money. So for people that are wealthy, some of them feel that they can self-insure, and they can, depending on, what their circumstances are. If they're single and they don't have to worry about anybody else, that's fine. But if they have a spouse, they have to worry about, are they going to use up all the money for the spouse? Because the first one to go out will use up a lot of money, and then the second person needs more care because there's not a second person in the house anymore to take care of them. They're single.
Exactly.
So they need to hire people. And then you have to look at, is there dementia or any kind of cognitive impairment in the family? Because for some reason when people get Alzheimer's or dementia, if they were sick before, they seem to forget that they were sick.
Yes.
They live like 10 years in a long-term care facility. And then you're paying a lot of money for long-term care facilities. And I know friends that have still had to hire people to go into those facilities because there's just not enough people to working in those facilities to take care of them. So they'd hire them like a friend.
Yes.
That would go in and, do things with them.
Yeah.
So long-term care is just one of those things that is so hard. You have to lose 2 activities of daily living. And what are those? That's clothing, bathing, eating, toileting, transferring, incontinence. But any kind of cognitive impairment, it automatically is considered a long-term care event. And so most people want to stay home. I'm sure your dad wants to stay home, right?
Yes, exactly.
And both of my parents passed at home, so they wanted to stay home. And so how do you accomplish all that? Some people it will just be assets. Some people, if they don't have money, it will be Medicaid. Medicaid didn't used to be really good with paying for anything in the home. You had to go to a nursing home facility, and they had to have Medicaid beds available.
And Medicaid was a scary word about 10 years ago. It just meant you're going into a home, I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was also, will they have a Medicaid bed near you? You could be, there was all sorts of things that were scary. But I think most people can get pretty close to home now. But it used to be like, you could be an hour away from your family. And that's always scary. And I think the facilities have gotten a little bit better, but they're still, it's tough.
It is hard. And a lot of times I think people go into homes and I feel like that's the start of a slow decline for some. But it just depends on the type of person maybe too. Like my dad is someone who's very sociable, so he may do well in a home when he eventually, if it gets too much and he eventually needs more medical care. But it just depends on how they go into it, if they're going in for the activities or if they're truly,
Well, and that brings up a good thing, too, because there are facilities that are, you can go in and kind of live on your own, and then you kind of graduate to assisted living, and those places are phenomenal.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, they seem kind of fun. They do games and bingo, and
they're out on trips.
Yes.
They have cocktail hours. One of the ones near me has, this chef that is unbelievable, so their food is delicious.
Oh, wonderful.
The facility is beautiful. I mean, it's there, and these people are out and about.
Good.
But then they can graduate to the long-term care facility if it was ever needed, and hopefully it's not for most people.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, some of those places are really, they're not inexpensive to go into, but if you can, they are having a blast.
Yes, yes. I think that's just wonderful because I feel like there are so many horror stories out there, and you just never know quite what goes on, I guess. Right. But having that reassurance for a family member, how wonderful is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will go to these facilities too because they're also rehabilitation facilities.
Yes. Yes.
So, for example, my mom broke her hip, so she went from the hospital to one of the facilities. It was very lovely, but she could not wait to get out. But that portion, if you're going to the facilities, that's covered under health insurance.
Okay.
But if you're going because of long-term care, it is not covered. So some of the things that people need to look at, and I would highly recommend to get a consultation with a financial advisor to look at you specifically, because everybody's different. But there used to be, probably about 20 years ago, might be even longer now because time flies, they came out with what I would call a traditional long-term care policy.
Okay.
And those policies, you purchase them, it was a use it or lose it. The premiums weren't guaranteed, so premiums went up. People started not to be able to afford it. They gave options on what you could do so that you could keep the policies. What happened is when insurance companies decided to price it, they priced it as an insurance that they didn't think people would keep. They thought they would have it like a term insurance policy for a few years and then just get rid of it, and people kept it. So somebody might have gone into the policy and it was $2,000 a year for both of them, and now it's $10,000.
Okay. Wow.
It's a big difference on the budget.
Yes.
So those type of policies have fallen out of favor both with individuals wanting them and insurance companies wanting to offer them because they never priced them appropriately. So we've moved ahead now, and we look at what's called hybrid policies. And hybrid policies are very popular because it's one of two things. It's a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider.
Okay.
And the reason why people like that is because one way or another you're getting your money back. So on the old policies, you pay the premium, you never used it, the money was gone. Or you paid the premiums, you cancel the policy, and you get this little benefit versus, the bigger benefit. So you paid all this money and didn't get anything in return.
Yeah.
Now, with these hybrid policies, if it's a life insurance with a long-term care rider, if you die, the beneficiaries get the death benefit, and that death benefit is tax-free to them. If you live and need long-term care, there's many plans out there, but let's just kind of use the middle of the road. You get to use about 80% of the death benefit.
Okay. For long-term care purposes.
For long-term care purposes.
Okay.
If you want your money back, these policies have cash values in them. So if you cancel the policy and you've had it for a while, there's probably enough money in there to pay you back for all the premiums you paid.
Okay.
So one way or another, you're getting your money back. So people like that. Premiums can be high, all sorts of ways of doing it, but that's one way of looking at it. Now, some people, when they start to look for long-term care, have started to have health issues. Health issues start, in your 60s or whatever. If they couldn't get long-term care with life insurance, then there are things like annuities that will double or triple your money that you put in, and you get to use that amount for long-term care.
Interesting.
So there's things to think about and things to look at. Now, the old plans had things like you had to wait calendar days or days of service. Like, there were all these intricate parts of it. These are pretty basic, like 90 days, you get your money. One of the things I would highly recommend people to look at is some of them are reimbursement and some of them are indemnity.
Okay, I'm not familiar with what that actually means. Yeah.
Yeah, most people aren't. Reimbursement means you have to pay for the services, keep the receipts, submit the receipts, and get reimbursed for your expenses.
Okay.
So
sounds like a fun process.
Right, and so your dad's doing pretty well, so there's probably not a lot of people running out and getting new chairs or equipment or something that he needs. But like for us, we had people that were purchasing things, and sometimes we get the receipts, sometimes we didn't. I mean, everything was paid for, you get paid for. But when you're in that situation, where there's a lot of people handling different things, you might not have all the receipts to submit them correctly to the life insurance company to get the receipts back.
Yes.
So I highly recommend indemnity.
Okay.
And that type of thing is you go and claim, they just send you the money. You spend that money however you want. Maybe you don't spend it all that month, but you have higher expenses another month. You can use the remainder for the next month. It just gives you a lot of flexibility.
I like that. And one thing that you mentioned earlier was about kind of hiring people and it taking a village, but there are so many unexpected costs that are directly related to, you know, like if you ever have to go to a doctor's appointment far away, you have to hire a dog walker, you know. Just
I never even thought about that.
Yes. People to mow the lawn, people to get food delivered because my dad can't go out and get himself lunch, you know, if my mom's at work. There are just so many little costs that truly add up. They really do. And so maybe that might not even be something you could get reimbursed for, but it is definitely a cost that's associated.
Yes. A lot of them will because people, they can have... So some places... We have some place up in New England called Meals on Wheels.
I've heard of this.
And
yes.
so they will deliver the food to people. And it's not just, it's homebound people or older people. It's not just long-term care. So it's anybody that needs it. But yes, and they will pay for somebody who will come in and cook or clean for you. Some of the policies will even pay family members to do it.
Oh, wow.
So
they already have to do it. Might as well actually get paid for the labor.
Exactly. Or what about all the equipment that you need when somebody goes on long-term care? Yes. You know, things for the toilet seat, walkers, chairs that now lift you up.
Ramps into the house, things like that. Yeah.
It's just everything has a price to it. And most of these type of policies will also cover that too. But that's the big thing is like, unless you've experienced it or gone through it or know somebody who's gone through it, most people don't really know how entailed it can be.
Yes.
And long-term care is different for everybody. So say you have Alzheimer's. You might be able to bathe and clean yourself, but you can't turn a stove on because you might light the house on fire. So it's different. Or for Parkinson's, at some point, your dad may need somebody to pick him up and move him to a bed or dress him or something like that. Yes. So it's always different for everybody. And it's such a unique thing. You know, back in the there used to be shows like the Waltons and everybody lived in the same house. The grandparents, the parents, the kids.
Yes. Yes.
Well, today, kids aren't even around. They're across the country.
Yeah, I'm a prime example. I just moved to Colorado, and it is very difficult to not be home for when these things happen. And it's only a 5-hour, plane ride once I get to the airport.
Only a 5-hour plane ride.
Not a 5. It's like a 3-hour plane ride, but get to the airport and then drive to my parents' house. But you never know when things are going to happen at the drop of a hat. It is hard to be away, but it is truly, we don't have multi-generational households like we used to.
And think about your expense doing that.
Oh my gosh, exactly.
And then you have to rent a car. You have to get to the house. You have to, do whatever you need to do, pack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all the time. Plus all the anxiety.
Yes. And even just the anxiety when things are good, too. I'm always just thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I could be there right now just to cook and be there. Or what if something does happen in the future and I'm, not near my phone and I don't know. It is hard to be away. It always is hard to be away.
And by having somebody be able to come in and assist too, that means that when you are there with him, you get to spend more quality time versus having to do the grocery shopping or the cooking or the cleaning or the running around and doing things or bathing.
But to actually visit.
Right.
Yeah. And
have quality time and talk. I always think about, I wish I had asked this question before they left.
Yes.
Might give you some time to be able to do that. What are some things that you are concerned with long-term care or that you've ever heard of? Or
That's a good question. I think the main thing I always hear about is just how expensive actual policies are. And even from people that come to F3E, I think that's a lot of what we get is like, I've even if people are not caretakers themselves, let's say they're just in their 50s, maybe about to retire or coming up to it soon, and they have everything but long-term care because they say, well, it's just too expensive for me. I don't even look at it. What's the ballpark that people need to actually be thinking about if they were going to seek it?
Or I heard it's really expensive.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I never really looked into it. I don't really understand what it does for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want it?
I think that's a big question. Exactly.
And one of the things is really price depends on so many different things. Your health, your age, and how much you're purchasing. So with the old type of policies, it used to be wait till you're older because you're going to be paying that premium forever. Mm-hmm. With these policies, it's better to get at a younger age.
Okay.
Because that premium is set, cash value grows, everything in those type of policies grow. Mm-hmm. Or you can get ones that are just, paid off in 10 years and then it's completely paid off, so you don't even need to worry about that. Mm. But it really depends. Here's the big questions is, like military people. They have VA benefits.
Right.
Depends on where the VA is, on whether or not you want to use those benefits. They may not need it. Husbands typically go out first. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have a spouse at home. Maybe you have children that will help with that. But if there's any kind of reason why you have to go into a nursing home, or home health can be almost as expensive as nursing homes now, that could use up the assets from the other spouse being able to survive afterwards. Because here's the thing, if it's in the market and the market goes down, well, now you have to take more out of the market because the market went down.
Right. Okay.
Plus, you have to pay taxes on it if it's in like IRAs or things like that. So you have to take more money out to pay the taxes, and kind of gets to be revolving. So it can deplete any kind of income for the second spouse.
Right.
So that has to be looked at. Is long-term care insurance for everybody? No. If you are single and you have some assets, you can use up all your assets and be perfectly fine, as long as you don't have to worry about leaving any money behind for anybody else. And then if you need to go on Medicaid, you can go on Medicaid afterwards. But then there are single people who want to stay home and would like to have people come into the house, and maybe they're on that cusp that they want that extra little bit of money to be able to stay at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I want to stay at home. But everybody's different. Some people actually really, and again, assisted living's different, but some people do enjoy being in a facility where everyone's going to take care of you and they know that they're safe and sound.
Yeah. I could see that, especially because you're surrounded by a medical team, really.
Yep.
So it might also just depend on the condition, too.
Yeah. I would say, everything changes, too, and it's so fascinating because we went from everybody staying at home to then having these facilities. Now there's not enough facilities and, staff and stuff like that. But now I even said, like, I live in a condominium development and it's all single houses. I'm like, we would be smart to build one house. At some point, make it, a 55 or older, whatever, and you could just employ a nurse.
Yes.
Like, give them free living and they're just around, like, when you need it or something.
Just have them there.
But there's so many different things that you can do now, know? So it's just interesting. So nobody knows where this is going to take us. So things change. Things don't stay the same. Everything goes in different directions. So even the robots are coming.
Oh my gosh.
And they're doing housework and cooking and cleaning and all
that. The robots are coming.
So we just don't know. Everybody's situation is different. I would highly recommend, looking into this further. There's plenty of information. Reach out, do a consultation with a financial consultant. We are here. There are many of us here that can help you, and we do it all day, every day, and we love it. So look forward to talking to anybody that needs any help.